Hello, hello, hello. I'm Lynn Browder, and I have a son, Owen, who is 11, and he has autism. And we paint together, working on his fine motor skills. And he helps me paint the backgrounds of our paintings, and that's with a hand-over-hand method. And then I paint the rest. And we've been painting together for several years now, and I paint a lot of flowers. I'm going through the flower phase, I suppose. It was the rooster phase, and then it was kind of finding myself phase, and then it was kind of the back to rooster phase. I don't know. Been a lot of phases, I suppose. And now I'm stuck on flowers, but I do a little bit of other things as well, but it just seems like flowers are where it's at right now. So, and these never seem to really go with what's up here, but that's okay. It's a bunch of flowers. They'll all grow together at some point. So that's what we do. And if you've watched my videos before, I pretty much, most of the time when I'm painting flowers, I paint with one brush. And I can tell you, I generally paint with way too much paint on my paintbrush, as they say. Way too much paint. That's my little, but that's my strategy. I don't know that that's what I should be doing. I never really painted before I started painting with Owen, and so a lot of it's just how I paint. So, you know, I didn't really take any classes, just kind of occasionally would do one of those paint with my friends at work or something, you know. But I just painted with Owen to start painting, to work on his fine motor skills. And, you know, I never imagined how much painting would really mean to me kind of all these years later. And so I'm excited about painting. And if you've watched any of my paintings, my videos, you know that I always say I like to watch paint dry. And that is so... I laugh every time I think about it, because I love watching paint dry. I love watching how it changes when it's drying. I love the effects that paint, like, it looks one way and certain colors just change. It just changes as it goes along, and that's what I like, is just the story that the paint tells. And so it's part of the journey, and I'm learning from it. I learn what it changes to, and it helps me as I'm growing and figuring all of this out. So I just laugh because to me that's kind of funny. But it's exciting. Painting is exciting. And I really don't know where we're going with this. And you see what I mean by I put way too much paint on the paintbrush. And sometimes the weather makes the paints thicker. And there's a few brands that I use that are just thicker in general. And so when I'm using those, that kind of determines how everything looks to begin with. So that's part of the mystery of paint. It fascinates me. It all fascinates me. And you see, like I said, that does not correspond to anything that's over here. So eventually we'll get to it. It'll eventually work out, is what I always have to remind myself, that we'll get something on top of it, or there will be more as we go along. So we get there at some point. We just get there at some point. And then if we have to, put some extra little do-boppers. That's the fancy term. Do-boppers. I don't know what that means, but that's what it's talking about. So then we just kind of see, we'll put a do-bopper. That's the do-bopper. And we'll just keep adding wispies, and most likely this will be covered at some point, just because I know what I do with these paintings. I start off one way and then it all changes. But it's okay. That's what I always tell myself. It's okay. Because guess what? We'll be doing another one tomorrow. Just the same way. We'll figure it out. So, I don't know where they always land or what's gonna happen. I just kind of grab some paint and then just keep pulling or pushing or moving stuff until it needs green to connect. I always say my mama is the green thumb. Like, she's amazing with flowers and such. And Alexa, stop. I forgot that I had it's a alarm go, or timer. And she actually listened to me. It's rare. It's rare when she listens to me on the first try. Sometimes I feel like I'm scolding her or something, because I have to say her name 10 times before she listens to me. And then she tells me she doesn't know what I'm talking about. So, and I kind of have to say, well, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time either. Oh, I kind of like the yellows in me. I love yellow, and I love yellows in things, but I don't always get along with yellow because it seems like it's very transparent very quickly. And so I'm liking that one because I put it with a kind of a creamy color. And this is what I do. I put this on this parchment paper, and then I'm going to spread out whatever's left at the end, because I make, when it dries, I make paint blob jewelry and magnets and different things. So the belly of the ring is paint blob. And then like that. It's a magnet. That's another one. So that's the dried paint. It's in between there with all. Those are a couple of the first ones I did. So I'm kind of learning how to take and adjust my yellows to add other texture, color kind of thing with it. So it's part of that whole drying paint thing that I like so much. And see, the other thing that I do, I always do the paintings kind of in one time, one sitting. Very rarely do I ever pause on a painting and come back to it. There are times that I do that, but most of the time what you see is just one fell swoop through the painting. And so that kind of determines a lot of what's happening with the painting. And so that kind of also determines the colors and the shading and just everything, because of the way I paint with one paintbrush and go through. And so like when I go on top of something, it's all melded together, and that's the way it is. That's the way it happens. But it then adds extra color to my paintbrush, and we just kind of keep going with it. And so it had some pink already on it, the pinks and stuff, and now it's just all blended in. And that's why I say a lot of this gets covered up or changed as I go along, and I'm okay with that. It's part of the mystery of what happens when you paint. Oops. Now, see, this is what I was saying. I had an orange. That was an orange, and it there's two different, like, this almost looks like a red, but it's technically an orange. I don't know how it shows on the camera there, but this orange that's behind there is normally not as thick as it is right now, but for some reason with this weather, we've had a lot of storms this past couple days, and then humidity and heat and everything, it sends this all back and forth as to how the paints like congeal in some of the weather. And ooh, I'm about to sneeze. See if I actually do sneeze or if it's just so that kind of changes how everything acts and reacts. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now see, we're gonna make a new line down here, and again, who knows, they'll most likely be covered at some point. Oh, the sneeze is coming. The sneeze is coming. Ooh. I like all the different textures of the paints, the colors, because that's like when you're in nature, you know, the bug nibbles off a piece of the flower, or the bee comes and does, you know, whatever it does. So there's always something that nature is changing the flower as it goes along. So even though these aren't technically like perfect flowers anyways, we're just gonna pretend like the, you know, little bugs came and did what they did too. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Sometimes I do more than I should have. Like, I kind of liked it better when I just had these little wispies down here. But that's okay, because that happens. But that made me like what was going on here. And I'm going to do just a little thing happening up here. Kind of. Because once it dries, it's that whole watch them paint dry. Watch them paint dry. So my son has not been sleeping as well as he was. He was doing really, really well. He had watched a Curious George video, and that truly, I thank him all the time for. Curious George is my hero because my son has problems sleeping, and so Curious George and the man in the yellow hat um, convinced him somehow that he could go to bed and sleep. And so it was a book and a video, I guess, or just I'm not sure. Um, I'm not sure if it was all of the things or if one or the other helped him, because he can talk about like that, but he doesn't really know how to tell me, why one or the other did helped him. But he's been sleeping better until the last few nights again. And I think it's just school change, schedule, ready for his routine to be back in to what it is. And so it's hard, it's really, really hard for him to, when routine is not the same, it's very hard for him. So his school starts back in August, and he will be very, very happy to be back in school. So he loves school. He loves school, and thankfully he has an amazing teacher that he's going back to this year. They keep him in, he's in an autism classroom, and so they keep him in the same classroom for a couple of years in a row, and I'm very, very glad. I'm trying to decide. I'm going to put a yellow flower over here, but I'm trying to decide what I want to do over here. And I'm still not convinced about this little purple guy or this little purple guy. My purple wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. Not that I can't flare it out a little bit, but I don't know if I really want blue over here or a brighter. I'm thinking I want this brighter red. Well, that was more of the maroon because the brighter part went underneath here. We'll just add it in there. That'll help. There we go. And so now what happens, I told you I keep putting extra on. I'm about to draw into this little story down here. And sometimes what happens is I'm just going with the flow and I don't make it thin enough. Not that it can't be thick, but when I'm putting it into something, I try to kind of graduate it. I don't know, something like that. And so I don't want it too thick when I'm pulling this down here. And again, I mean, you can see I just keep putting stuff on top of each other, so it wouldn't be horrible if I had to add more. But I just kind of want something so that I can just, have. So I'm going to add a few little wispies in here. I don't always add these, and I don't always keep it thin. It just depends on my mood and what I accidentally do. Because sometimes I drop stuff, and that is just part of my makeup. It's in my DNA. I can't help it. I have to put lots and lots of colors all together. One of these days I'll get it figure it out, maybe. But if I don't, that's okay too. Because guess what? I enjoy painting, and I paint from my heart. I paint about our story. I paint for the love of my child. And I paint because it's fun. It's part of the fun. I'm probably making the camera shake a little. Okay, that wasn't exactly what I was going for, but it's okay. Only because I was thinking more along. I was trying to do more along this line, which I did it totally not that way. If I was gonna actually do that, but let's see. Now I have to go in here. Ooh. I get excited when I actually pay attention to what I'm supposed to be doing. Because that doesn't always happen if you've watched before. Now see, I really want to do something right here because I don't need it like to be even. I feel like I need something up here. So this is what happens. Or maybe I just need to adjust this purple guy so he's a little more flared out here. That might help. It just looked it looked unfinished or something. This purple flower to me didn't look like it had enough fluff and stuff, and I didn't really want to cover up that flower because for some reason I like that one a lot. It made me happy. Okay, that made me happy. Sometimes you just need a wild flower in the bunch. That's, because it kind of changed it a little bit to where it looked like it was looked more like this style, and now it looks more like it's I don't know, outward flower. Now see, this one's fading into the background just a little bit because of how this color is. So I'm just gonna go in there and just add a little bit, just so when it dries, it's gonna come out just a hair, and that will kind of cement it in there. And then I just need a little tiny bit of texture in here. That's what I have to kind of go back and look at to see what I'm missing and what I need to add. So, and then even this is gonna just need a little lines here and there, because when it dries, I think that is making the difference. And just add I think I'm about just want to add a little of this lighter purple in there, only because once it dries, that each, like, it'll take a little bit of the layers, and I laugh because, like, I will walk by this numerous times, and I just keep, I think this flower is changing, if you had not noticed. It just kind of did something completely off the wall here. So it wasn't quite going according to plan, and this is certainly not now going according to plan, so I have to adapt somehow, because I need to rough the edge a little, because there are sometimes I do circle, real circle paintings, but this it needs it's right there in the front, so it needs something to make it because we don't want it to be too stark. Okay. So, there we go. All right, now, the only other thing I'm gonna do is add a tiny bit of darkness to this one. Not changing it completely, but just adding a little darkness to it. When I like the light, but I didn't add very many more of the lighter on like this, and so I just wanted to kind of shade it in a little bit. So let's see, I think I'm done, but I'm going to, do you like the way I say that? I think I'm done, but I'm going to do some little doodads. Sometimes, you know, I just need some green little flanks. I don't think that's the technical term. Probably not. I'm still, oh, I think that's making me happier. I keep feeling like that's like not, it's sticking out or something. That is one that's gonna dry. Interestinger. I need it to, I like it better than it was, but when it dries, it's gonna have a, these little lines are just gonna be totally gone. Oh, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. So, I think that's where we stand. I need, okay, I'm walking away. All right, so I always sign O for Owen, and then L and B. Since Owen is the foundation of why I started painting, he is on there, and then I do the LB for me. So this is what I do. I flatten this all out, and that makes the paint bubbles. So I just kind of stretch that out, mix it up different ways, and just make all the paint bubbles. So it'll stretch it out some more, and that's that. So thanks so much for watching and being a part of our journey. I appreciate it.